With positive COVID-19 cases moving in the wrong direction and the Delta variant becoming a greater concern, teams of Dallas County workers and volunteers are hitting the streets.
Hello?
They're going door to door, walking block by block in different neighborhoods.
We can go and get the shot.
And engaging with residents.
The county is doubling down on efforts to make sure that everyone knows about the vaccine, that has access to it. A lot of people do not have information or enough information or might have questions on the vaccine.
With block walking, the teams are being strategic in their community outreach efforts.
Let me give you this flyer right here.
Relying on data to lead them to areas in Dallas County where vaccination rates remain low.
Most people that have been testing positive for COVID or been hospitalized are people who haven't been vaccinated.
These workers and volunteers are armed with literature.
Yeah, we're just providing information.
Locations offering free vaccine and answers to questions.
What's the response been like from neighbors across the county?
So in general, the people that have been vaccinated and see us, they're thankful that we're doing this.
And the outreach teams admit there are some challenges engaging with some neighbors about the vaccine.
There's people that are still thinking about it, they're resistant to it.
Dallas County workers say these efforts are about education, options, and opportunity. Right now, the city of Dallas and the chamber are also offering incentives for getting the vaccine, including free tickets to the zoo, sporting events, and airline tickets.
We have seen some of the people that we knock on the doors show up at the various vaccination sites.
And the Dallas County Health Department's outreach efforts will continue on Friday with block walking across South Dallas community and a vaccine clinic here at the MLK Family Clinic. In Dallas, I'm Damon Fernandez.